Yes, guys, and welcome to session 48 of Mindset Mastery, coming up for the big 5-0. Thanks for being here, guys, as always. And today we're going to talk about, this is a session that I love, self-leadership. So how to lead your own life. So often the word leadership is only related to people leading others. And the reality is there's also a lot of people leading others who can't really lead themselves, which is why they end up not being great leaders, very often not being liked and not being successful, because essentially you have to learn to lead yourself first before you can lead others. You can't expect anyone in your life to live by standards or do things that you haven't done or that you're not willing to do first. And so often people are trying to be the leader before learning to lead themselves. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So what are you guys going to get from this training today? So you're going to discover why some of you are stuck or lost at this moment in time based on what you've let me know in the last couple of weeks in your check-ins. You're going to learn why people pleasing is destroying your dreams. You're going to understand the true meaning of self-leadership. You're going to master the shift from follower to leader of your own life. And you're going to learn how to trust your gut, your intuition, your own path, and finally lead your life forwards. So why do we feel stuck in life? Why do we feel lost? There's times when I feel completely stuck. I just feel like nothing's happening. And I even say that. I literally feel like I'm going nowhere. Every week I'm doing stuff, lots of stuff. It's going well. It's not horrifically bad, not good, not bad, kind of in between, but I'm just doing, just living, just drifting on autopilot. And sometimes I refer to it as sleeping awake. So I don't really know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but I'm doing okay and I'm doing stuff and things are, they're not too bad, so to speak. So when this has happened, it's almost always when you're not actually living your own life. It's almost when you've fallen into people pleasing. You've fallen into saying yes to everything. You've fallen into not actually thinking about what's happening in the week, whether it aligns with who you are and your goals, whether you actually want to do it, whether it's serving you, or any of those things. You just say kind of yes to everything, or you're just doing everything that you've always done without any thought. That's what I generally mean by autopilot or sleeping awake. You've just drifted through another month and nothing's happened. Nothing bad, nothing good. You've not gone forwards, you've not gone backwards, you've just drifted. Eventually, that will lead you to a dark place where you feel more and more stuck and unlost. So we're going to talk about that today. So very often as well, when we are stuck, when we are people pleasing and when we have gone on to autopilot and we're starting to feel a little bit resentful in life, a little bit angry, a little bit out of alignment, we're also started to go inside ourselves a little bit. So very often we start to avoid conflict, we avoid disagreement, we tend to not challenge people, we tend to not stand up for ourselves, we tend to just, in a way, not really choose ourselves. We're just happy going with the flow. And you've heard me say this before, there's only one thing that goes with the flow, and that's dead fish. Don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be a dead fish. And it's the reality of you're not really leading your own life, which is why I called this self-leadership. You're actually following someone else's life. Someone just says, do you want to do this? And you say, yeah, but you haven't actually thought about whether you want to do it. You might be doing a job that you've done for the last 10 years and you've not actually even thought about, am I enjoying this? Is it serving me? What else is out there? Am I happy? Same with relationships and everything else in between. So we very often, let me know as well in the comments if this sounds familiar to you, we very often stay quiet in relationships or careers or life to keep the peace. We avoid change because we convince ourselves we're okay as we are. We should be grateful for what we've got. We don't really need more, and it's not really worth the hassle. Even though the hassle could lead to the thing that makes you so happy on a daily basis. And when we're staying all of those things, right? So I'll read them again because I wrote them down. So things that I've said in the past. You're staying quiet, you're keeping the peace, you're telling yourself it's not worth the hassle, can't be bothered with the aggro, I'm all right as I am. That's a big one. I'm all right as I am. I've never met a person who's really happy say I'm all right as I am. They just don't want the challenge of the thing that's going to get them to the next level. And deep down, if they were really honest with themselves, they're not happy. The amount of people that aren't happy with their alcohol habits, but they're still drinking every weekend because it's what their family or their social circle do. The amount of people that go to weddings, events and festivals that they don't want to go to because they didn't have the balls to stand up and say, I don't want to go to that. The amount of people that end up doing any number of things just to fit in with the crowd and almost convince themselves that by doing it, they're putting other people before themselves. Mother Teresa syndrome, isn't it? They're being unselfish, but you'll always end up feeling trapped. You'll always have chaos in your head, and eventually your mental health will take a massive hit and you'll start to feel powerless because essentially you're just existing in life. Like none of us were ever had dreams when we were young. When I get to 45, I just want to exist. I'll be happy with just this boring life of getting up, going to work, being a parent, maybe getting a holiday once a week if I earn enough. Once a week, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Once a month if I earn enough money, and just kind of existing until I die. You see these people in life, right? Nat always goes mad at me because every time we go in a restaurant, I'll always point them out, and I'm like, them two over there, and she'll be like, what? I went, waiting to die. And that's literally, they are waiting to die. There's no goals, there's no mission, there's no purpose, there's no drive. You can see them, it's the couples that sit at dinner tables and they're not even talking. Like one will be on their phone or one's reading a newspaper, and it's like the life is going nowhere. It's so numb. And I always say they're waiting to die. They're just waiting to die then. They're just like, well, we've just got another 20 years and then we're gone. Like, that's never going to lead to a fulfilling life, right? And that's what eventually some people will just drift through and then die, and so be it. But some people, more people than that, it will get to a stage where life just becomes toxic and bad habits come in because it is that state of learned helplessness that I can't change anything. It is what it is. This is just the hand that I've been dealt. This is just life, and I don't want to change it because I don't even know really where to start or what that would look like or how challenging it would be, and I'm a bit afraid, and what if this and what if that. No, too much, I'll just stay here. Okay, now when we're feeling like that, when we're feeling stuck, when we're feeling lost, and we all feel it, generally what you're trying to do, and this is massive in fitness plans, massive in nutrition plans, quickest way to quit is try and do something that you fucking hate to get something that you want. The amount of people doing a type of training that they detest rather than finding what they love, the amount of people eating foods that they detest rather than eating foods that they love because they think it will get them to the goal quicker. The amount of people doing jobs that they absolutely hate because they think, well, in 10 years I'm going to get a bonus, and then when I do and I can buy a new car, I'll be happy. Like literally willing. I know people who are willing to do this, stay in a career they hate for 10 years because they're going to get a 30 grand bonus in 10 years. Like 30 grand for 10 years of misery, 10 years of unfulfillment, 10 years of Friday euphoria and Monday morning doom and gloom. Would you pay 30 grand for that? If I said to you right now, this is what you need to do for 10 years and I'll give you 30 grand, doesn't sound so appealing when you actually break it down and think about it, doesn't it? But again, they haven't, because they've just conditioned themselves that, being okay is all right. I don't want any of you to be okay. I want you to be thriving, okay? So generally, when we're stuck, we're trying to motivate ourselves to goals in a life that we don't believe in. We're living someone else's dream and someone else's life because we're afraid to speak up. We're afraid to say what we want. We're afraid to follow our instinct. Like, most people won't even tell their partner what they really want because they're afraid of what their partner's going to think about them. That's not a relationship. Like, even, if I'm going too much down this road, but even in terms of what partners want to do sexually in relationships, they won't even tell the other partner because they're worried about what they would think. They won't say they want to get a new job because they know the partner will say, no, I don't want to do that. They won't say that I've always wanted this car because their partner will say, don't be so daft, you'll never get that. Okay, and eventually people in our lives, if we're not careful, they will dampen your spirit. They will dampen your fire. And even if they don't, and the fact is that you just never said anything because of fear of being mocked, judged, and laughed at, when just that one thing, the amount of times I've just said one thing and someone's actually gone, yeah, me too. No way. I wanted to say that to you. For it happens in a friend of mine's liked this girl for ages, right? And so why don't you just ask her out? I don't think she's really gonna. But what's worse can happen? She can say no. Well, why don't you just ask her and see what happens? Asked her. She'd liked him for like as long as he'd liked her. But he didn't want to ask her because he was afraid. And that situation can go through, I didn't want to. I remember Rory Hibbertson, a client of mine, if you're watching, I won't say the amount, but it was a lot of money. And Rory was saying to me, I do more than everyone else in this business that I work for. I'm grafting harder, I'm working longer, I'm achieving more. I'm driving the business forward, I'm generating more income. Yet all these other people, they're still getting the same as me. Why are you just ask your boss for a pay rise? You reckon? Well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, he can say no. Ask him. Got a multi-figure pay rise on the day that he asked. He'd been deserving of that all the time. It was just needing to ask the question, ask the person, do the thing. Be honest about who you are and what you want, rather than not embracing your true self because you're going to avoid conflict. I'm gone off on a massive tangent here already, but let's roll with it. So, when you're not being your authentic self, when you're not living the life that you want, when you're living someone else's life, you're always going to have chaos in your head. I promise you. And again, these are some phrases that I wrote down that I've heard people say before. I can't do that because my partner wouldn't like it. Not sure you should be with her or him then, if I'm completely honest. Like, your partner shouldn't, unless it was something like really destructive, like I want to go and take heroin on a Saturday night, then yeah, probably a good idea and your partner's right. But, generally, some relationships to a level where, I don't think I could go to a gym, I don't think my partner would like it. What, sorry? I don't think I could spend this money on a health and fitness plan. I don't think my partner would like it. Why is it that your partner doesn't empower you to make to make decisions about your health and fitness? I don't think I could stop drinking at the weekend, even though I'm depressed, because my partner likes us to have a drink together. So subconsciously, your partner likes doing something that's making you depressed. But people don't say anything because they're afraid. We're all afraid. Afraid of being mocked, judged, and laughed at, and that then we won't be enough, we won't be loved, and as a result, we'll be excluded. But you will always have chaos. And people, when you change, people are always going to say you've changed. But you haven't actually changed, you've actually become the true you. So, people go for big goals and then, my boss said it wasn't realistic. Well, maybe you should be the boss then, not him. People talk about dreams and aspirations and people say to them, you'll never do that. I had that a lot in my early years. Okay? You'll never amount to anything. You'll never be good enough. And it will break you eventually. So I'm hoping that you're watching this now thinking, he's right. There's a lot of things I want to do in my life that I've not been honest about. There's things that I want to achieve that I've allowed other people to convince me isn't impossible. There's things that I want to do. There's places that I want to go. Things that I'm going to do. Just do them. Don't end up going to your grave having lived a life that isn't yours. Because if you live your life on someone else's terms, you will die miserable because you're not living your life. And the reality is we're all programmed from however old from 4, 5, 6 years old. People want us to be like them. They want us to live their lives. They want us to follow in their shoes. Only shoes you should be following are your own, because the worst thing is about it as well, parents, and it's not their fault because all parents love their kids, most of them, but they try and mould their kids into what they believe is acceptable. Oh, no one in our family's ever been to university. Well, everyone in our house has always had a job. Well, no one in our house has ever run a business. Well, everyone in our house has always been big. Don't get me started on that one. You have to break free. You have to break out of that mold, because if you're not living an authentic life, you're not leading your own life, then you'll never find peace. And deep down, they're not bad people. They're doing it because they care, because they want to keep you safe. But the amount of time this has happened, like, I remember I had a female client, I won't say who it is because it's in the case of dad or, well, when dad ever wouldn't end up watching because he's not in this plan, but keep it private anyway. She was so fired up to start a business, written the business plan, agreed a loan. It was a success plan, backed her 100%. Believe it or not, she didn't actually end up doing it, which broke my heart. And the reason why she didn't was because her parents didn't want to do it. Her dad was an accountant and her mum was a teacher. And I brutally honestly says, what the fuck do your parents know about running a business? None of them's ever run one. So why have you gone to them and asked them advice? They think it's too risky. No shit, they've always had jobs their whole lives. Right? They think it's a bad idea. No shit, they have no idea what they're talking about. And again, it's sometimes you never take advice from someone you wouldn't swap places with. Right? And go for what you want, because when you do, and you're, what do they say on, it's on a deal or no deal, isn't it? When you're true to yourself, then win or fail, succeed or lose, you win, because you were true to yourself. And if, as I said, if you don't break out of it, then you'll never ever find peace. So when you have chaos in your mind, you know you're ignoring a truth. God knows how many percentage of people in this country are in unhappy relationships because they're ignoring the truth, because they don't want the hassle of what the breakup would cause. Exactly the same in jobs. But I'm going to break this down into some questions. You need to know what your truth is and you need to ignore it, because if you're not living your true life, you will always be happy and you'll never ever be the leader. You'll be the backing actor or actress. Two questions, like, you could literally live by these two questions. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Say no, irrelevant of who it impacts. If your heart says yes, go for it, irrelevant of what anyone else says. Like, if it's in your heart and it's in your head, just go for it, because no one who's truly loving of you, truly wants the best for you, and is truly a person that should be in your life will ever try and hold you back. Although it happens a lot, people try and hold their partners back in relationships. Some people don't want their partners to get in shape and make more money and be more successful, because then it's going to highlight what they're not doing, and then they might leave them and go and find someone else who's in better shape and is more successful. So it frightens them. This happens in friendship circles. Misery loves company. That's why sometimes when people literally fall out with their entire friendship groups when they get in shape, because all their friends are like, oh, you think you're better than me now because you've got abs. Oh, you think you're better than everyone else because you've lost 2 or 3 stone. Oh, you think you're better than everyone else because you've got a new car or pay rise. No, well, no, they don't. The person making the comments thinks that they're better than them, which is why they're trying to pull them back down so they don't feel alienated. The person doing it, doing the winning and getting the abs and getting the car and doing the job, they're just happy living their lives. Like, you never see successful people running around like slacking people off and talking about how they're doing better than them and, oh, she thinks this or she thinks that. Too busy winning. Too busy living their own lives. And that's where I want you guys to get to. You're so busy doing what you want to do that you don't have time to worry, to judge, to be negative, because you're too busy on your mission. That's when you're really living your life. When, we talk about all these things that affect us, right? Relationships, impact, the press, what's going on in the world. Like, there's nothing more attractive than a person on a mission. And a person on a mission generally doesn't hear that noise, Like someone could say something about them, doesn't bother them. Too busy on their mission. So the next time, I want you to have a handle on this. The next time someone tries to control your life, just remember it's your life, not theirs. And just ignore them and crack on like your bad self without apology. Because you are the superstar of your own movie. You're the writer of your own novel. Make it a good one. Don't write a book about someone else. Don't play the role in someone else's movie. Play the leading role in your own movie. Make it a blockbuster. Be the star, be the lead, be the hero, because you only get one opportunity. We all only get, this isn't a rehearsal. We only get one shot at life. Don't spend that shot living someone else's life. Be the decision taker, be the decision maker, and right or wrong, own your choices. And when you do, the right people will show up for you and support you, and the other people don't matter. So you can actually virtually treat it of ethnic cleansing of shit people that shouldn't be in your life. Because when you are your true self, total authenticity, total chasing your dreams, the right people will support you. So it's a really good way to actually just get rid of the ones that shouldn't be in your life. And you'll live on a different level. You'll be different. You'll attract different. You'll vibrate different. As I said so many times, haven't I? The universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are. So if you're authentic, it's going to give you more authentic people. If you're positive, it's going to give you more positive people. So just don't let someone else ever write your story, because you'll live with regret and you'll just feel resentful the whole time. Most people who feel resentful, who are slating and judging other people, are just so unhappy with their own lives, but they haven't found the strength to deal with it. So I wrote this down. Haters exist because they're watching you take the lead. Like, you never see unsuccessful people being slagged off on social media. You very rarely see people being fake, being slagged off on social media. It's always when people are posting about their achievements, their fitness achievements, their life achievements, money, then they're seen as arrogant and stuck up their own arse and all those types of things. And the people that are scrolling, what do they call them? Trolls, right? Trolls hate watching people live their own lives because they don't have one. That's why they're scrolling and slagging them off. That's why they're judging their past. That's why they're calling them out on, like, anybody else's life is none of my fucking business. Like, I literally don't care. I just want people to be happy. Your opinion about me is none of my business. You could think I'm an absolute arsehole for all I care. It's not important to me. My opinion about myself that means the most to me. Now, these people are also then bitter because you had the courage to move forward. You had the courage to take action. And they don't like it because you're highlighting what they're not doing. So also, when it happens, treat it as a really good slap on the back and a signal that you're in the right place and you're doing really well. Like, the more judgment you're getting, generally, the better you'll be doing. So this is about being, and I've used this analogy so many times, haven't I? You have to think, right? And I want you to ask yourself this question now. Am I being the driver in my own life? Am I sat in the passenger seat of my car with my keys, driving where I want to go for the greater good of all? Because when you are, you'll be authentic and that ripple effect is massive. Or am I the passenger? Am I just sat there in someone else's car, living someone else's life, drifting along? You know, and this is a great, you know, I see this in parenting a lot, and it triggers me a little bit, but I kind of get it at the same time. So some people use their kids as an excuse for not having any life or not living it. Yeah, I don't do anything else. I just do everything for kids. Well, that's not what your kids would want. Your kids would also want you to live your own life and be happy. Or people say, oh, I'd die for my kids. Yeah, but what about living for your kids? Because when you're happy, when you're authentic, when you're on a mission, your kids are going to be like, wow. They're not going to be wow to mum or dad who's just permanently run down, no goals, no mission, no purpose, and kind of uses them subconsciously, if you listen to the language, as the reason why they don't have a life. That's not a fair burden to put on your kids. Like, be thriving for them, not I gave up my life for them, I lived for them. And they'll thank you one day, trust me. So as we step into self-leadership, like, leadership isn't about titles, it isn't about roles, it's not about being a captain, being a sergeant major, it's not about winning titles, it's not about teams. It all starts with you, because you are the leader of your own life, and you have to be. You're the leader of your own growth, you're the leader of your own progress, you're the leader of your own happiness. So stop waiting for someone to come on board and rescue you, for someone to help you, to someone to pull you up to the next level, and pull yourself up to the next level. Stop playing by rules that you didn't create, and create your own rules. And start demanding more of yourself, and having the kahunas to stand by your decisions. Again, a big thing that I see is very often people step up, they then have the balls to make the decision about starting the business, ending the relationship, going for a new career, getting fit, doing whatever they want to do. Within days, they're talked out of it. Yeah, see, Lee, I was going to come on board and change my whole life, but thing is, spoke to the wife and she's not sure it's a good idea for us right now. So, okay, so she just wants you to go back to living her life and doing what she says and living by her rules. You will never be happy, and you'll end up resenting that person. Don't do it. Make the decision. Stand by it. Make the decision for you. Take responsibility for your results in your life, because when you do, everyone in it gets the best version of you. Prioritize your needs, then look after others. Ryanair analogy. Can't save people if you don't fit your own oxygen mask first. Set your own standards that other people want to follow, not following their standards because it allows you to fit in. Now, as I said, this also means stop taking advice from people who haven't done what you want to do. If you wouldn't, the amount of people listening and taking advice from people who they wouldn't swap places with is crazy. The whole world's crazy. There's business mentors that have never run a successful business. There's people coaching who aren't in shape. There's people giving relationship advice who aren't in a successful relationship. Like, you have to think about, like, who am I willing to listen to? And I'm not saying don't listen to people. Listen to them, but then make your own decision based on your opinion of that information. Don't just take the information on board yourself. So make sure you're taking advice from the right people. Stop letting society dictate your goals. You weren't born to be put in a box or fit in or go with the flow. And also stop measuring your life against someone else's timeline. I want so many of you to just get some blinkers on and just create your life and stay in your own lane. It's really hard, this, especially with ADHD, when you see other people smashing it and all the time you just keep thinking they must be doing something different, they must be better than me, what can I do what they're doing? And then you chop and change. These are people who hop from coach to coach to coach to coach. They hop from job to job to job to job. They hop from woman/man to man, woman, man, woman, man, woman, because they're always looking for something new, something better, something that they've seen someone else get and they want, and they think they can get it quicker. Like, decide what you want and stay in that lane. And stop wearing a mask. Like, being authentically you is the most powerful thing that you will ever do. And whilst deep in your heart of hearts right now, you probably think it might make you not attractive, and people might not like the real you. So you try to be the person that you think people would like. This is why people please, because they're afraid that if they're the real you, then they won't be liked, and as a result, they'll be excluded. Now, I've been asked this question so many times: how do I be more authentic? And I want you to realize it should be effortless. You shouldn't, I personally don't have an issue with this, but you shouldn't be thinking about what you're saying. You shouldn't be thinking about every conversation before you have it. Like, maybe if it's a big decision, yeah, give it some thought. Certainly with ADHD, sleep on it for 24 hours, 24-hour rule. But be you and do you, because no one should ever be asking, how do I be more authentic? It's effortless. You're just being yourself. The real question that people are asking is, how do I stop wearing a mask? How do I stop being fake? How do I stop imitating other people? This is massive in my industry. The amount of people that started trying to be James Smith when James Smith started doing videos. Just to watch them, and to be fair, I've done this. I think when Paul Moore was mentoring me, and Paul, you won't ever watch this, but I love you and I think you're incredible. I'm surprised at one point I almost didn't start talking with a Geordie accent, because like I loved him and I aspired to be like him, and I was like, rather than thinking like, right, who is Lee Freeman, what does Lee Freeman believe in, and what does he want to coach, I'm like, I want to be like Paul Moore, so I just did everything like Paul Moore. But that's just part of life lessons, and that's ownership and responsibility. Now, I've realised that. Someone actually said it to me, Pete, a good friend. It's like, just be a bit more you and a bit less Paul. But it's easy to do, because this happens in schools, right? People try to be like the most popular kid in the year, because then they think they'll be liked. When the truth is, that most popular kid is just being himself. That's why he's popular. Paul Moore is ridiculously himself. That's why he's so popular. So it's not about being authentic. It's just about taking the mask off and realizing that when you can just remove your insecurities and just be you, that's the key to moving forward. And that's also the key to leadership, because you're not here to live someone else's dream. You're here to live your dream, your life, your mission, your purpose. So, go out today and innovate. Don't imitate. Write a list down. I want all of you to do this. Write a list down. Post it in the group. Email it to me. Keep it for yourself, whatever you want to do. But what really are your dreams? Where do you really want to travel? Where do you really want to go? What's the life that you really want to live? And then go out and live it. Stay in your own lane. Trust your heart. Trust your instinct. And as I said, when you do, the right people will love you. The right people will follow you. And you will become the best version of yourself. But you can't become a leader if you're not being authentic. Those two things are so intrinsically linked. Like, you can't be a leader of someone else's life. You can't be a leader of someone else's team. You have to be a leader of your team. So if those aren't in alignment, that's sometimes why you feel all over the shop, and you kind of wonder why life isn't sinking, why your energy's a bit low, why you're feeling a bit drained, because it's almost like, don't know if you guys have ever seen this. There's some form of psychology test, not ants, but whatever, I don't know, some fucking animal that jumps, can't remember what they were, but basically an animal that jumps up and down a lot. And if you put it in the box, it jumps up to here, and it jumps up to here, and it jumps up to here, and it jumps up to here. This is what happens in life, right? And then they put the lid on the box, and then the animal just started jumping to here. Eventually, they took the lid off the box, and rather than jumping back up there, it just jumped exactly where it had been taught to jump. And that's the reality of where most people live. They had these huge dreams, these huge expectations. They could jump to the skies, and then all of a sudden, over time, life, society, friends, parents, partners, programming, teachers, boyfriends, girlfriends, unicorns, crushed them down until they only ever knew to get to there anymore, because they'd had that crushed out of them. Like, I want you to go back and think, who am I? What do I want? Where do I want to travel? What life do I want to live? How do I want my relationship to look? What do I want to do with my kids? How do I want my body to look? Now, how do I create, right? Think of this as, you can have fun with this, right? Create the movie of your life. And then once you've created the movie, just stick to making sure that you always play the leading role. You are the hero. You are the star. And that will all come from self-leadership and authenticity. So action steps that we can take on this, because I always like to leave you guys with them and this members challenge. So first of all, I want you to write a list of all the ways that you've let other people lead your life. Other people control your decisions, control your actions. I want you to write a list of lies that other people have told you about what you can and can't do. And then I want you to burn that list and get rid of it once you've done it, because it's not true. Then I want you to write a list of ways you can lead your own life, ways you can take action, next steps you can take. And I want you to also think about, I've got some big ones on this. Identify one situation where you didn't trust your gut and it cost you massively. There's so many times in like, oh God, if I'd have just done that, if I'd have just taken action then, I'd be here now, but I didn't because I was afraid. Like, even think about where you are with your current situation. Like, maybe you've taken some epic action towards moving forwards in the last 3 years. Some of you massively have. Just think, where would you be at now if you'd have found the strength to make that decision 10 years ago? Okay? And then moving forwards, I want you to write yourself 5 areas of life where you're going to upscale. 5 areas of life where you're going to improve your standards, commit harder, and you're going to lead from the front. So it might be your health, it might be career, it might be relationships, emotions, stopping drinking, making money, making a business, getting in shape. Whatever is your thing is your thing. And going on the theme of this training, it isn't about what I want for you, what your partner wants for you. It has to be what you want for yourself. And you have to get ultra clear on that. And it has to be completely in alignment. And then you can create your leadership promise. And the leadership promise that I wrote down was, from this day forward, I will lead my own life. I will lead with integrity, courage, and purpose. I will follow my own heart, and I will never live someone else's dream. I will become the leader that I've been waiting for my entire life. Guys, go for it. You've got this. I love you all. Let's lead from the front and get after what we want and make sure we're in the driver's seat, not the passenger seat. Take care.